I'll tell you what you know.
I can do the nature check for herbs if you prefer.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's do
it's what if your character would be interested in it, you can go ahead and do it.
Ooh.
Gonna go with the 34 has the score here. So we kind of looking around. No, they look like there's something that would grow out of the ground, and kind of looking around like, oh, this is interesting. However, Alexis can recognize a lot of the herbs that are in here are really, really rare. Basically, the herbs that the masters are gathering or are having these people send off as tribute are a little bit harder to find ritual components. Did the call drop, or is it just one person?
I'm still here. I can still hear you.
Still here.
Cool.
Oh, I randomly mute my microphone so that my background noise doesn't bother.
Okay. Well, no, I see a little warning that the call dropped, but I think it's just error code that's dropped. So you can see that these herbs are quite valuable, but they're specifically valuable for being ritual components. That's what they're used for more than anything else. They're not healing herbs or anything like that. They're not spices. They're ritual components.
Anyone here a ritual caster?
Negative.
Lyaxis is.
No.
So,
No.
Lyaxis, are you a ritual caster?
Yes, druids are.
Excellent. Character-wise, you'd be able to know that you're not really sure exactly what all sorts of things are used for, but the herbs that they have are primarily used for divination rituals. So learning extra things. I'll try to add Erica back to the call real quick.
Well, someone asked them where the herbs are usually gathered, and if it's on the way to the mines. Maybe we could take a pit stop.
Dakshin, I have yet another question for you. These herbs, are they by chance on the way to the mines or somewhere near the mines? Like, may we possibly stop and visit where these herbs were gathered before we go to the mines?
And he was like, you guys all have the map of Chult. It's one of the other entries in your character journal. So if you wanted to see this to know pieces that he's going to be talking about, Dakshin says, no, the people who are the wanderers, the rangers that go and test the jungles, they are the ones that know these things. But I know that they go to the Mist Cliffs. And he kind of points roughly off to the west and says, they are gone for quite some time, many days before they return with their groups of herbs. It is unfortunately not in the same direction. I do apologize.
Not a problem, my friend. So, my compatriots, shall we venture into the dank, dark jungle, or simply go to the mines and collect our due? No, correct that. Or shall we simply go to the mines and attempt to find more of this lovely writing?
Well, I'm game for the mines.
Dakshin said that there are some minor troubles in the mines, and I'm willing to help them with that, so I'm also voting for the mines.
Mines are more profitable.
And fourth vote for the mines.
Yeah, you guys get back into the festivities, more food, more of that sort of stuff. A lot of like very strong fermented fruit wine gets sent around, and you kind of enjoying yourselves as night begins to set. They build up a decent sized bonfire right at the edge of town, and sort of gather around and start talking and stuff. As the feast keeps going, you see that the fire dies down very suddenly, and people start kind of muttering and talking to each other as this big sort of bonfire that was burning about 8 or 9 feet tall dies down to mostly just embers all at once.
Okay, if I was sitting, I stand up and I put one hand on my sword, but I do not draw it yet. I just look around carefully, trying to feel or see if something's incoming.
So
The
you,
master's approach, I believe.
Yeah, I'm gonna stealth and hide.
So you see everyone is kind of looking around talking. A lot of eyes get turned to Dakshin, who staggers up. He's been enjoying the alcohol with you guys, so he's a little intoxicated. And he staggers over to the fire and kind of gestures to a lot of those little... so I guess for those of you who weren't here yesterday, you can get Dakshin's description. Dakshin's really tall. He's like 6'5". He's very, very tan. He's human. You can see that where he isn't tan, there's very dark... very bright white scars on his body. He has kind of an odd-looking little bulge on his back. He wears very loose-fitting clothing and has all of the people in this town have an iron ring that they wear around their neck. The younger kids have it, and it's kind of loose-fitting, but the older ones, it's very sort of sunken into their flesh. Dakshin has one, but his also has a bunch of ornament on it. So it's got little bits of crystals, of like things like tiger's eye, kind of semi-precious stones suspended on little cords from his metal thing around his neck. He's got very long hair bound to the small of his back, and has like little animal skulls and other sorts of things that are woven into it that look very clean, very pristinely taken care of, as well as lots of brilliant feathers and things of that nature. So as he sort of staggers over to the fire, he raises a hat and says, "Yes, good master, a feast. Feast for the masters, yes. The tribute will be great. The tribute will be wonderful." And the coals of the fire start to kind of roil and move around a little bit. And then all at once they snap together into a more cohesive piece as a large snake sort of coils its way out of the fire. And it looks like it's made out of embers. As the snake reaches its head up, about 4 feet up, it starts to broaden and twist. It has the upper body that looks more like a man, but the lower snake. The snake, or the man or snake's head, has a broad cobra-like hood over it, and it seems to be made completely from fire. For those of you guys that know what a Yanti is, or what a Yanti looks like,
No!
he's very clearly Yanti. If you don't know what it looks like, Google exists, and I will type out how you say it.
Maybe useless, but Draco is going to attempt to look as positive and welcoming as possible. Put that charisma to use and try to at least speak a greeting to this creature.
Well, seeing that it's like the Dakshin calls it master, so I obviously do not draw the sword. I just try to act calmly and just look how the situation develops. I leave Draco to talking.
So the fire snake looks straight down at Dakshin, who's very happily kind of standing in front of it, looking kind of awkwardly proud, and says, so Dakshin says, "Welcome, great master. This festival will be in your honor, and the tribute will be for more for you." Dakshin, is very eloquently spoken. He's obviously quite sloshed. He's sort of stumbling over himself. And the Yanti in the fire looks at him and says, "You have intoxicated yourself? I did not know you feared failure so much, little one." And then Dakshin kind of smiles, looks around. "Failure? We've got a party. Everything is good. The voices have stopped, and all of the things have gone away, and everything is..." And as he's saying this, you see the snake making a motion with its hand, and then Dakshin's little band around his neck flares up. It goes from being that sort of dull iron color to being almost white hot, like it's iron straight out of a forge. Dakshin immediately screams in pain, and you see several of the little bangles, the little ropes holding on the trinkets on his neck, kind of burn away, and they kind of land in a circle around him. And he falls down. Everyone in the village immediately gets out of their chairs, gets out of what they're doing, and lays straight down on the ground with their arms forward, bowing towards the fire. What do you guys do?
Draco would immediately drop to a knee and lower his head and attempt to speak to the creature.
Yeah, I do the same. I just, before Draco speaks, I just whisper, Draco, if you're good with talking, talk, because Dakshin is digging his own grave.
Agreed.
So what do you say?
Great.
He is recovering from being apparently burned really badly and is in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
All of this is still in Draconic, right?
Yeah, everything that's going on right now is in Draconic.
Oh, great master, I simply be a adventurer who quieted the voices. Oh, crap, I'm having a hard time figuring out what to say. Basically, he attempts to apologize for Dakshin and at the same time asks if there's anything that a lowly... Is there any way that a lowly eggborn such as myself may aid you, Great One?
So give me a diplomacy check first.
By the way, can you aid in diplomacy checks?
Yes, you can.
So basically, I'm aiding him in a way that I say, beg for forgiveness, O Great One. This Dakshin, oh my god, sorry, this is the case of my English failing because I'm not native English speaker. Basically, beg for forgiveness. This one just indulged himself in creating such a great festivity to honor your being that he forgot about the limits of his body. And as my shield brother said, if this, for this, what's the word? Not displeasure, not grievance, probably displeasure. If we, in place of Dakshin, we shall gladly repay it with work.
Can you speak Draconic, Akka?
I cannot.
For aiding, I roll my bonus to diplomacy.
Yeah, so what you do to aid is always 10 plus half level unless there's a penalty to it. Since you can speak the language, there's no penalty. So you only need to get a DC 13 in order to successfully assist.
So I roll d20 plus what?
Your diplomacy. So it's just like a normal check.
That's solid.
Nice. So kind of explain all this stuff to him. And he looks around for a second. You can see that the snake is sort of looking very quickly around the village and notices. The question I have is: Did anyone copy the thing that all the villagers are doing? Is anyone else also laying down, bowing towards the fire, or is everyone else kind of standing?
Draco and Nahazar, and me too.
I also follow suit. Yeah.
I'm bowing, but I'm not on the ground.
Okay. So looks around for a second, notices a couple of things, looks like it's noticing a couple of things, and then kind of gets this very wicked-looking smile. When it speaks in common instead. New creatures, vassals that might be worthy of this, come forward. And he kind of gestures with a clawed hand. And then with his right hand, he's gesturing for you to come forward. And he sort of flicks his left wrist, and Dakshin gets hit by an unseen force that knocks him about 4 feet away from the fire. He tumbles into one of the tables.
Yes, Great One. What is it that you require? I shall aid if I am capable.
I just ignore what he did to Dakshin, knowing that if I do something stupid, I will probably be burned to ash. And I just grit my teeth, trying to ignore the obvious, evil act in his eyes.
Exactly why Draco is just simply speaking to the creature.
Yep, and I follow.
So he goes forward, and you see the as you guys are walking, he gestures for you guys to come forward. And as you guys are coming forward, the creature is kind of taking his left hand and is scratching off pieces of his, looks like either pieces of his body or pieces of the fire. Obviously, this is the Yanti is not actually his body is here. He's using this as a way to sort of project himself or to communicate with. But he's scratching off little pieces, and then you see he's molding something in his hands. Looks like it's made from his body. And as you guys come forward, he says, "Yes, yes, an appropriate vassal." And he snakes his way just slightly out of the fire, and he holds in front of him a ring. Kneel before your new master. Towards Don.
There is only one ring, yeah?
So it's only one. He's got it, and it looks like it's going to be one of the bands that they're all wearing around their necks.
I look with very uncertain look on my face to Draco mainly.
Great one. Is there any way that I may serve you while still retaining my independence? For if I take a collar, I am breaking what my egg mother, I believe would be the term, told me never to wear.
So the snake gets this sort of sneering look on its face and says, "All must serve," and throws the band out towards you, and it kind of flies through the air. It gets, you're only standing about 6 feet away from it. It gets about half the distance towards you, and then the band immediately cools. It goes from being white hot to being
Crap, you want new slaves.
to being just a plain piece of iron. And then right in front of your feet, it falls. Like, it now weighs an extreme amount. And when it lands on the ground and skids to the edge of your feet, you see the edges of it are completely coated in ice. The master, the snake, looks at that, and you can see just complete confusion on the Yanti's face. So there's kind of a pause for a second. So the Yanti threw that and expected one thing to happen, and did not at all is that what happened.
I'm probably as confused as he is.
Draco simply stays kneeling, but raises his head and asks, "Why must I bear thy mark simply to serve you?"
So you see again, he recovers for a second, looks up, gets that kind of snarling look on his face and says, "All must serve the masters." And he puts his other hand up, and you can see he's drawing smoke from the fire into this big black ball around his hand. And then takes his hand and thrusts it straight towards everybody. He's basically blast waving the group. You can tell that he's going to do this if you guys want to react to it.
Okay, seeing that this obviously not going well, I just saying common, fuck, act now. And I will probably be trying to dodge out of the way.
Back away, dodge, retreat, something.
Okay. So if you guys will real quick give me an initiative roll. We're going to go in initiative order for the moment, and then just to keep track of everything, and then we will go from there.
Before we do initiative roll, can I try some role playing?
What's up?
Before we do the initiative roll, can I try some role playing?
Sure. Now, this initiative is not for combat.
Okay.
It's for there's role playing going on, and I'm expecting people to describe what their actions are and what they're doing and that sort of thing. But it's just to help me keep track of, hey, this person's talking, so that one, we're not all talking at once, and two, that someone just never gets a chance to talk. Got 4 people on initiative. Don, you gotta get an initiative macro at some point. That's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's everybody. All right. And descending order. So, Tarmandus, you're able to respond to this first. So, what do you do as the Yanti, looks like it's made of fire, is gathering up power to go and throw a blast wave at the group?
Well, since I'm guessing I'm not really, I have, what's it called?
You are in a slightly awkward position, as you as a person and you as a character have already run this adventure. So,
Well, I've gotten a bit tipsy, so I fell over with my chair when he appeared. So I get up, see here that the snake thing has some sort of power getting prepared to blast at us, and I just run for cover.
Okay. So give me some sort of check for running for cover. I don't know if you got a. I'm so used to warlocks having teleports, but I assume you don't have one yet.
No.
Whatever sort of check you want to justify. Obviously, athletics or acrobatics would be the easiest option. But justify a skill check and go ahead and toss it my way.
I'm going to do an athletics check.
Okay. So again, for those of you guys that are new, or if you guys need a little bit of a reminder, all the adventure DCs are in your journal. So if you click on them, you'll be able to see